Hello and welcome to Tech Daily for today, Monday, March the 26th, 2012. This is all of your tech and social media news for the day in 10 minutes or less. No frills, no commentary, just the news. I am Jacob Bodner. Let's get started with the FTC today, calling for what they describe as privacy by design. There have been a lot of privacy concerns lately on a lot of different platforms. Google has had privacy concerns. Facebook and mobile has been one of the biggest concerns for privacy lately. And the U.S. Federal Trade Commission today released a set of recommendations for businesses and Congress about the collection and use of consumers' personal data. Driven behind all of these privacy concerns are worries about what Google is doing with your information, what Facebook is doing with your information, what mobile platforms are doing with your information. So the FTC is trying to do something about that. The FTC calls for, quote, privacy by design, simplified choices, and greater transparency. The report includes indications that the FTC is concerned about comprehensive tracking, though that's one of the less developed recommendations in the bill, or in the recommendation, not legislation. This is just a recommendation from the FTC. The FTC passed the report 3-1 with Commissioner J. Thomas Roish dissenting for a few reasons, one of which was the concern that the FTC is effectively mandating that internet services will become opt-in by design. There are really five main components to this recommendation. We'll real quickly go through three of them. A do not track recommendation, which is probably the furthest along, but browser vendors are now offering do not track options for consumers to limit data collection, so the FTC sees this as a good option moving forward. On the mobile front, the FTC wants to make mobile privacy protections short, effective, and accessible to consumers on small screens. And finally, data brokers. So this is the big one. The FTC wants a centralized website where data brokers identify themselves and disclose how they collect data. So it would essentially be mandated that a site like Google or Facebook would be part of this data broker website and say, this is how we collect your information, and this is what we do with that information. In social media news today, Twitter launched self-serve advertising for small businesses, but just some small businesses. Twitter announced on Tuesday that a select group of small businesses can begin, and this would be announced today on Monday. The article would be incorrect, but can begin using its self-serve advertising platform to create promoted tweets and promoted accounts. All of the companies with initial access to these promoted products will be American Express merchants and card members. The credit card company partnered with Twitter to launch the new platform. And basically, the first 10,000 businesses that sign up get $100 in credit for free advertising on Twitter. They will be promoted accounts, promoted tweets. As you know, promoted accounts are essentially a brand's Twitter page would show up in the who should you follow when you first do Twitter, or just the who should you follow when you go into the should you follow section. That's assuming it's pertinent to you. Promoted tweets take existing tweets from a brand's account, and that has inspired a lot of engagement and makes it more visible to people not only following that account, but also people who might be interested in it in different search results. So those are some of the ways that small businesses can now use Twitter advertising. It was first launched just for the big boys, and now they are slowly rolling it out for small businesses. Facebook is trying to defend themselves, or at least Mark Zuckerberg, against a lawsuit, and for the first time, they have released emails that were sent between Mark Zuckerberg and wood pellet salesman Paul Segalia. Paul Segalia claims that he is owed 50% of Zuckerberg's stake in the company. He filed a lawsuit in 2010 claiming that a contract between him and Zuckerberg showed that he invested $1,000 in what would eventually become Facebook. Facebook last year claimed the contract was an outright fabrication and that the emails were forged. Now, in a motion to dismiss Segalia's lawsuit Monday, the social network's lawyers obtained emails that Zuckerberg and Segalia exchanged in 2004 from the Harvard University server. According to those emails that Facebook released Monday, none of the emails in Segalia's complaint showed up in that search. Essentially, Segalia wanted Zuckerberg to work on a website called StreetFacts, and he was working on the website, but apparently he wasn't getting paid, according to the emails that were released. It's interesting because all of Segalia's emails that he has put into the lawsuit were actually not native to the platform that he sent or received the emails on, but rather were in Microsoft Word. And so that led to Facebook saying it was an outright fabrication. Segalia's lawyer says it's because at the time he was using an email platform that automatically deleted old emails, and so he had the practice of copying emails into Word in order to save them. So if you want to take that for what it is, if you believe that or not, but that's at least his defense. Facebook thinks this should put the kibosh on the entire lawsuit, but that remains to be seen. And good news for you Windows Phone fans and AT&T customers, the LTE-friendly Lumia 900 and the HTC Titan 2 now have release dates. Both of those phones will land at AT&T on April 8th. This is according to CNET. At $99, the Lumia 900 will give you a 2-year contract, and it is with a 2-year contract is $99. It features a 4.3-inch clear black AMOLED display, 1.4 gigahertz single-core processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, and an impressive 8-megapixel rear camera with Carl Zeiss optics. So Windows Phone finally getting a little beefier hardware, especially LTE, which is something that's been missing from Windows Phone for a while. Speaking of Windows Phone, Nokia and Microsoft came out today, and they announced that they are each putting up $12 million into a new mobile apps development program at Finland's Aalto University called App Campus. This is aimed specifically at funding new apps for the Windows Phone platform, but also some of the legacy platforms that Nokia still uses, such as Symbian and Series 40. The program will start in May 2012, and in addition to the funding from Microsoft and Nokia, Aalto University will make a significant contribution to the project by providing premises, coaching services, and access to both academic and business networks for building app developers. That was released in a statement today. The three say it hopes to attract thousands of proposals for new app developer startups, not just from Finland, but elsewhere too. This is great for Windows because Windows Phone is in a catch-22 right now. And that is, they don't have a lot of apps for the Windows Phone, and the problem with that is people won't go to the OS, they won't go to the platform unless there's a lot of apps, or the apps that they expect to be there are there, and app developers won't develop those apps unless, well, there are people using the apps or people buying the apps. And so what this does for Windows Phone and for Nokia is it gives kind of an incubator for apps. Not only that, but this is kind of supposed to be kind of the next Rovio is what they're kind of going for here, or the next big app to come out of this. So what this is going to do is it's not only going to give Microsoft and Nokia a lot of apps to choose from, but it's going to give unique apps for them to choose from. Apps that were created specifically within this program, specifically for Windows Phone, that could then be huge and draw people to the device. At least that's the hope, especially when you're investing $24 million in the program. Speaking of Windows Phone, a lot of Windows Phone news today. Path has announced through their CEO, Dave Morin, that they are, quote, beginning work on a Windows Phone application. Of course, there are no details on when we should expect the application, but Dave Morin says that the company is committing to the platform because, quote, we believe that the product is really good. He admits that at this point it isn't going to be a huge resource dedication. Obviously, not a lot of people on Windows Phone, but he says that the company has full-time designers for each platform, so we'd assume, and this is The Verge speaking, that a Windows Phone version of the app would be a completely different experience from iOS or an Android app. Path has kind of famously said, we want to get our service on as many platforms as possible mobile. We believe that's the best way to expand our user base, and that's what they're going to be doing by releasing a Windows Phone app. So if you're a Windows Phone user and you want to be using Path, wait a little while and you'll have it. That's your tech news and social media news for today, Monday, March 26, 2012. Check us out on Twitter at TechDailyRTM, and all of our past shows are at redtie.tv/TD or our YouTube page, youtube.com/rtiemedia. You can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Bodner. We will expand on all of these stories and so much more on the next episode of Status Update coming at you Sunday, April 1st at 7 p.m. You can check out all of the stories from last week on the latest episode of Status Update number 10, available right now at redtie.tv/SU, and boy, is it a dandy. Great discussion in there, by the way, about how social media makes money. Great discussion. That's going to be posted on our YouTube video later in the week. Have a fantastic day, everybody. I will see you tomorrow.